Doom scrolling. That word has actually affected me a lot. The first time I heard it, I thought it's a crime. You go into thoughts like, am I a good father? Am I not spending time with him?
I didn't like the feeling of losing control. 20-30 minutes in of swiping and you're like, what am I actually really doing? Your answer is nothing. You're just wasting time. This thing is just addictive. It's just designed to suck you in. It's designed to make you lose control. To follow you everywhere, send you notifications, give you little icon bubbles at the side. That stimulates a part of your mind that's akin to gambling. And they figured that out.
What worries me most is that when you don't even see it as a negative thing, you see it as part of your life, it's norm. I think that's very difficult to regulate then. That's the most scary part of it.
So Naga, how much doom scrolling do you actually do?
Doom scrolling. Okay, that's a new term, right? So basically, we are talking about social media.
Yeah, I think it's most relevant to social media. Yeah.
Okay, yes. So basically, okay, I must think of a episode in my life to explain this. So basically, I've got a 5-year-old son. I think you should know by now. 5-year-old son. So when he was born and all that, fine. After that, maybe around 2-3 years old. So when I come back from work and all that, everybody needs a break, right? So we come back and then sometimes he's there playing and all that. So I'll be there with him to play and all that. But there will be a time where I will take a break and then I will go into my social media, like everybody does. So, and then once you start scrolling through social media, it's normal. Everybody scrolls through for you intend to scroll it and look at what's happening there or in other people's life for like a few minutes. But then it just goes on, and then you go into it. I think that's what it's called, doom scrolling, because you go into it without knowing, and then you don't know how much time you actually are spending there, and you get away from what's around you physically, like at that moment, my son. So then my wife comes in, and then she say, are you doom scrolling? Then I stop. So that is my experience about doom scrolling, if that's what you're asking about. So that's what has happened. So what I have done after that, right? Let's talk about the better things. So that word has actually affected me a lot, or that term. Right after that, I was like, doom scrolling. So the first time I heard it, I thought it's a crime. I thought, oh no, what am I doing? So and then you go into thoughts like, am I a good father? Am I not spending time with him? So after work, you have to spend time with the children. These kind of things. So it came to my mind. So I thought, okay, let's make a conscious effort. So you see, a doom scrolling versus conscious effort. So conscious effort to stop getting distracted. Until to this extent. So and then I stopped doing it. So I literally put my phone on the other side. That means I flip it, upside down. So I don't even see the screen. So that's what I've done when I'm with my son, so that I don't even get started on anything on the phone itself. So this is my experience about doom scrolling, if that's the main thing you're talking about.
I think that's a very honest take on phone and social media usage. I mean, yeah. I think what you described, is applicable to many, many, many parents. And I would say even for myself, I would say that, I found myself doing that from time to time. For me, I guess I was always more conscious when I'm with my kids. So I try not to, but there are 2 instances where I will doom scroll, I
Only
guess.
2?
No, two primary ones, right? So one is, so it's funny you put it like that, because the first instance I'm going to say is when I find that I have pockets of time where I can't really do anything productive, like, I don't know, like waiting for the train, right? And then you're like, I don't have a lot of time to do anything meaningful. Maybe it's too little time to read a book or something, then you just start scrolling, right? It becomes a problem. It becomes doom scrolling when it eats into, like you just keep continuing, right? That's why it's called doom scrolling. It's just like losing yourself in it. So that's one. Instance I find myself doing it. So waiting for a train, or maybe, I'm waiting for dinner at home, and then, I'm just sitting somewhere and then I'm just scrolling. So that's one instance. The second one is before bed. And I didn't have the wife walk in on me moment like you, but I would say that I kind of course corrected more because I didn't like the feeling of losing control. Like I think everyone kind of knows it on a subconscious level, but like 20, 30 minutes in of swiping, and you're like, if you just pause and ask yourself, what am I actually really doing? Your answer is nothing. You're just wasting time, right? You're paying the social, you're helping the social media platforms like make money off advertisers. That's what you're really doing. You're just like this, how do I put this? You're just like this. You're like in a pig in the slaughter line, right? Just waiting to be cowed. So that's my wake up moment. I guess it's a lot more internal than yours, but I think in a nutshell, what we're really saying is that this thing is just addictive. It's just designed to suck you in. It's designed to make you lose control, right?
Exactly. So we are adults,
Yeah.
and teachers. So even we get into this kind of zone. So let's put this perspective into our students. So it's as bad, of course. And then, but if you add on their age, if you add their lack of experience or lack of self-control at that age to the situation of social media or doom scrolling, I think it's worse. It's more devastating. So, I mean, we might sound like, what do you call that? Advising students, but the reality is that. So I will just try to put a parallel between what our students are going through with social media and we are going through is the same social media. It is just that we have been in an era without the social media, and then social media was born, and then we went into it. These, our students are, simply put, digital natives or social media natives. They are born into the world with social media. My tongue also, I cannot say it properly. Okay, so that's the first thing. So they think it's part of life. So I think when I shared just now, mine was external. As you said, my wife came and then she said, stop, or what is this, Then I took a moment and I stopped. Because for me, it just occurred to me, oh, it's wrong. And then I stopped. But you see, yours was more intrinsic.
Yeah.
You just reflected on what you're doing.
My guess is also because, it's not all my credit, right? It's like, I read about it. There's a lot of like news out there about like regulating social media for teens. I didn't come out with the term doom scrolling. I read it somewhere, and then that made me introspect and go, oh yeah, actually it's just kind of a waste of time, right? That's kind of how it came about. Yeah. But yeah, I know, back to your point, you were talking about the
students, right?
Thing,
yeah. So basically students who are born into the world where social media exists already wouldn't take or wouldn't see doom scrolling as a negative thing. I think that's the most scary part of it. The word doom has a very negative connotation to me.
But that's why the journalist invented it, right?
Correct, yeah.
Because it's
supposed to have it.
Yeah, because like it's part of raising awareness as well.
Yes.
Like you put a label to it and then people are aware of it. Like you said, right, you thought you committed a crime.
Yeah. So because of the term, right? The term. Maybe my wife's told, but other than, are you doom scrolling? So I was like, so that's the first thing. But other than that, I think more importantly, these students or our teenagers or, young people, I would say generally, they wouldn't see it as a negative thing, even with the word doom scrolling, because they are born with social media. It's just part of their lives. So that's the danger. So because we are born in a different era, I don't know why am I trying to establish our age here, but never mind. We have seen it evolve, basically. So we are more conscious about its negative effects. When something occurs, like a junction like that, I think we are more aware to stop and reflect and all that. But I think our students wouldn't do it because it's so normal for them, right? I think they are more likely to question why stop, why must reflect. It's normal, it's just part of them. So that's the danger there.
I think I would frame it in maybe slightly more through more economic lenses, right? So in economics, we always talk about this concept of an externality. So an a simple example being like, smoking or, vaping. I think that's a big issue these days. And an externality is when, people do things that has a bigger societal impact at hand. And I think social media falls firmly into this category of externalities because, first of all, it's not realistic to expect kids to self-regulate.
Of course.
And it's not just social media. It's like candy and lollipop and donuts and whatever, right? Like whatever they enjoy, they're just going to go all out, right? That's children behavior. Now, you said something really interesting, which is that we're not the digital native age group. But if I were to go old school and talk about something in our time, so I think one of the things that comes to mind is, you know what MSN Messenger is?
Yes, of course.
Right? Everyone knows, okay. So that was like the
the age.
that was the precursor to like WhatsApp, right? And even back then, there was a lot of grumbling from, my parents, like, why are you always on MSN? Don't talk to strangers. I mean, that's not really how MSN worked. I mean, you could add strangers, but you're normally talking to your friends and all that.
Yeah.
But that was like our introduction to that wasn't social media, but technology, right? A technology platform to connect people, because that's what social media is actually really about.
Yeah.
And even then, for us, it was hard to get off because your friends are always online, just always sit around a computer waiting for people to come on and all that. But the good thing is back then, internet was crap. Yeah. And you don't have a smartphone, it doesn't follow you all the time. So there's kind of like a physical barrier. Now, the trouble is, and why, again, I'm not the one that created this idea of social media having externalities, but why, people start framing it in those terms is because the apps were designed to be addictive. They were designed to follow you everywhere, send you notifications, give you little like icon bubbles at the side. I mean, there is research into how like that whole, when you see your app icon and then you have like that number there, you just feel inclined to click it. Like that stimulates a part of your mind that's akin to gambling. And they figured that out, right? And so I think this conversation is about how, as adults, we are also vulnerable. Kids are extremely vulnerable because it's extremely addictive. And so some form of intervention is required, right? Because I think where we're going with this is that ultimately for the kids, it's affecting their grades and I think their life in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, exactly. So basically we older people, in this age group, we are already vulnerable. So what more? The students. So who regulates for them? I think that's more important now. We are going to talk about, because I think at this age, maturity, we have seen how social media has evolved.
The answer is we are regulated by the wife.
We are. True, correct. But good regulation there. So let's go to the students. So students, who regulates them? So since we are reading and all that, that's why we came out with that. We encountered the term doomscrolling, and then we actually saw it as negative, and then we stopped, and then we said, okay, we should do other more purposeful things with our time. So how to regulate students who don't see it negative in the first place? Because they might just think doomscrolling is just a boomer's term. They just find this kind of thing, right? So they'll say, oh, you're just old people. You're just thinking that's bad. We know how to regulate ourselves. But I don't think they do. So the first thing, because they see it as positive, the whole thing, it is just taking their mind off stressful moments, which is what we do also. But when to stop, when to connect back to the reality of life, will they be able to do it without an external party coming in to stop them, like a parent in their instance? Are they self-regulated? Are they matured enough to self-regulate? Because what worries me most is that when you see it as negative, it's easier to regulate from it. Like smoking, it's easier to regulate when you see it as a negative thing. But when you actually don't even see it as a negative thing, you see it as part of your life, it's norm, I think that's very difficult to regulate then. Because why need to regulate? That's a very important question students ask.
So for me, I think I'm actually quite supportive of a social media ban for like 15 and under. I think they're contemplating it in like Australia. I'm actually quite supportive of that. I mean, as a parent myself, my kids are not at the age that they have their own devices yet, but I think it's a great idea. We're just talking about one aspect of the problem, which is doom scrolling, but social media really has so many other problems like mental health issues and depression and anxiety and all that. So I'm supportive of it. But short of that, what I try to share with my students is what I do myself, right, when I want to, get off my phone. Because even for adults, I mean, sometimes it's easy for us to say, oh, what if I have a work WhatsApp or an email and all that, right? And sometimes I find that if I just need to get work done for hours, in a stretch, like maybe I'm doing curriculum or whatnot, I just physically put my phone away. I take off my Apple Watch, I put my phone aside, and then I'm just off the grid for 2 hours.
Yep.
Right? And I think that kind of physical separation is healthy and necessary. And I try to impart that to my kids, my students, right? And I think it is easier for the 17, 18-year-olds because they are just inherently a bit more motivated already, right? Like they're taking A-levels, and so on. And they're like, okay, I want to do something for myself. But I think like, if you go down the ages, you talk about upper primary, lower sec, I think some degree of like locking the phone away, it's going to be, I don't know, boomer talk, but I think that's necessary, right? Because it's really just the recognition that thing is designed to make you keep wanting to scroll. And if you don't put some kind of physical separation between yourself and it, then, it's hard to get anything done, right?
No, because I understand. Like example, you just mentioned, how you go off the grid, right? You put away the phone. Just now I mentioned I actually put it upside down. That means screen down, basically. So it's just small effort, small actions actually make a big difference. That's how we self-regulate, or we take our attention away from the phone to divert the attention to something more meaningful. Simple as that. But I think, as you said, Australia is trying to ban and all that. Rather than ban, absolutely, from these people, it's important to educate the kids. They might not listen at first, of course, yeah, like what we said, because they just find it normal part of their life. But I think important to actually tell them how it actually affects them. So I think educate them, create awareness in the kids. This is how it is. First, of course, there must be hard regulations, like as you said, maybe like a timer. I don't know. Maybe there is these kind of things, like parent control.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah,
yeah. These kind of things. Because I think, as we go into this new age era with everything, like even AI and all that, it's no way you're going to stop it completely from students or teenagers' lives or young people's lives, because it's really part of their life already. And also because these things have also grown into there are positive impacts from these. I wouldn't totally disagree. So are we taking the positive parts away by banning? Absolutely.
No, but just banning social media.
Social media. Even social media, right? Like, maybe regulating it or creating awareness or creating guidelines, more supervision from like parents and all that. Then I think it's easier to ease into the kids than totally ban. That's my take on it.
I think ultimately it depends on, it's kind of like how, whenever Singapore talks about its drug laws and they talk about how like, marijuana is like a gateway drug and how easy it is to slide into the harder stuff. I wouldn't say that, we should definitely ban social media for 15-year-olds and under, but I do think it's one of those things where it's a slippery slope, right? I think the way to refine the regulation is to think about what age group to draw that line, because I brought up the drug example because the whole argument is don't touch because it's hard to control yourself.
Of course.
And I think social media arguably has a similar characteristic. So we might go, if you're 13 and under, you shouldn't be on social media because it's hard to control yourself. But once you're like 14 or 15, then maybe, that's a good compromise.
Yeah, of course.